Filming as I walk for no reason. Filming as I walk for no reason. Clickety. Filming as I walk for no reason. Filming. The fuck? Weird. Okay. Hi. M. Night. What am I gonna do with you? What are we gonna do with you? What? This is the second time that this has happened to me in the last month, where I see a movie that's just so not good that when I get back to my car and it's time for me to talk like this, I don't know what to say. It's not M. Night's worst movie. Not by far. It's better than After Earth, so you can call it a comeback if you want to, I guess. But it's just... it's a wasted opportunity. That's really what it boils down to. This movie could have been something really cool. And I don't mean that condescendingly, I just mean that, like, when I saw the trailers for this movie, I thought I was going to get a movie that was going to talk about, generational differences and things like that, how the older a certain generation gets, the harder it becomes for newer generations to relate to them, because... just different times. Things work differently. People are different. Things are different. There's a lot of fun you could have with that idea of the young being terrified of the old, doing that. And this movie, like, it seems like that's what they wanted it to be, but it isn't. Now, I'm going to try and stay away from spoilers here, because I don't want to be that guy. But needless to say, in order to accomplish that thing that I said a second ago, where, there actually isn't anything wrong with these grandparents, and it's just that these kids view them as essentially aliens because they're so different, they're from such a different world than the modern era, that these young kids just can't relate to them. That would have been interesting, but in order to do that, there needs to not be anything actually wrong with these people, with these grandparents. They need to actually just be regular old people doing the same things and dealing with things that regular old people deal with, and you would need to not have some weird twist in there, some weird shocking thing just for a scare. But this movie does that. I'm not going to say what, but there's something not quite right with these grandparents. They're a little cuckoo for the Cocoa Puffs, and if there is something wrong with them, then you're robbing your movie of the opportunity to make a statement about how younger people can't relate to older people. And it just makes your movie not good. I keep hitting my keys. That's also not good. But unlike M. Night, who seems incapable of admitting faults, I admit I messed up. This movie is just a weird, awkward 2-hour void that dances around the concept of interesting things to do, but just doesn't do anything interesting with them. Like, there's this whole thing about forgiveness, but it's just handled so poorly and so awkwardly, and forgiveness is given by people that don't actually have the permission to give it, and yet a character still goes through an arc despite the fact that it's a false forgiveness. How can you make a message about forgiveness if the forgiveness in your movie is disingenuous? How do you do that? That is a very important thing. If a character needs the elixir of forgiveness, as the movie coins it, essentially, I know it's a reference to Joseph Campbell's works. I know it's not actually coining the phrase, but whatever. if a character needs that elixir of forgiveness, that forgiveness needs to come from the person who can actually give forgiveness, not to just some random It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Nothing about this movie works. Hell, nothing about any movie M. Night's made in 10 years works. They just, and they don't just keep getting worse and worse either. That's also a false statement because, well, he made his worst movie a long time ago and nothing will ever be as bad as that again. So yes, this is not M. Night's worst movie, not by a long shot. It's just a really bad one. It's just a really, really bad movie that just is... This makes me sad. I don't want to hate on M. Night. I really don't. I had so much respect for him for so many years, and everyone did. I know this isn't original, like just hating on M. Night. Everybody on the internet hates on M. Night, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason everyone hates on Shyamalan these days, and that's because he just doesn't seem to be the same person that he was at the start of the century. And that's not his fault. Times Magazine or Esquire or something or other ran a front page article about him saying he's the new Steven Spielberg after one movie. Maybe two. I think it was one. Or maybe it was Signs. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Very early in his career, he was publicly deemed from a gigantic pinnacle that a lot of people pay attention to as the new Spielberg. And, it's not his fault that he couldn't live up to that. It's our fault for putting it on him. But it's also his fault for making movies that are just so bad. I mean, just so unbelievably terrible. It's... And again, this movie's not his worst. It's even better than After Earth. It's better than The Last Airbender. It's better than The Happening. But that's not saying much. And his newest hour-and-a-half long void of nothingness and... Okay, so, it's not nothingness. Let me be nice for a minute here. There's a couple of things about this movie that are genuinely good. The acting is all fairly good. The way it's shot is fairly good. But, oh my god, I can't even get away from talking about the bad because the way it's shot, well, okay, is still found footage. For no reason. In the post-Chronicle world, you think that people would be better at this, but they're not. There's not a good reason for your movie to be found footage. If you can't organically do it, don't do it. And found footage is not an excuse to have a character just sit in a chair for 5 minutes and just spout exposition. I don't care how good her performance is as she's doing it. 5 minutes of exposition from the moment your movie starts is still 5 minutes of exposition the moment the movie starts. And that's not how you tell a story. It's boring. Even if she's doing a good performance, it's still boring. People don't want to just be talked at for long periods of time. As I sit here just talking at people for long periods of time. I get the irony. It's just... I'm already 8 minutes into this. I don't want to keep going. I don't want to keep talking about this movie. I don't want to keep thinking about this movie. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. I'm hurt by M. Night Shyamalan. I know it's not Shyamalan. You don't pronounce the Y. I'm hurt by M. Night Shyamalan once again. And now, he doesn't owe me anything. He doesn't owe anybody anything, but he could try and make a better movie. He could. And, I'm not the only one not liking this. There's a lot of people out there that are calling it his best movie in a while, but that's not saying anything. So, congratulations, M. Night. You made a movie better than After Earth and The Last Airbender. Do you want a cookie? How about we aim a little higher than just better than the god-awful pieces of shit you made over the last couple of years? And it's no surprise, if you look at his track record, it's no surprise he had to pay for this movie himself, because he paid for this movie himself. The $5 million budget for this movie came from his own pocket. Blumhouse picked it up, and I like Blumhouse, I do. I'm very disappointed that the last 2 Blumhouse movies I've seen are terrible. Come on, Blumhouse, you're better than this. But... So, Blumhouse probably paid for the advertising, which was huge. Holy crap, was this movie pushed hard. There was, a 3-week period where every YouTube video I watched had a fucking trailer for this movie. So they spent a lot on the advertising of it, but that all came from Blumhouse. Oh my god. You know, M. Night, I know that you like making movies. I know you're a huge movie buff. You're just the Indian version of me and a lot of money behind him. I get that. But you need to try harder. The grandparents don't have anything going on except for the fact that they're weird. You are an Academy Award nominated, and I think you won a couple, writer, director. You've been nominated for Oscars 7 times. I don't know how many he's won off the top of my head, but 7 times. That's 7 nominations. That's impressive. That's really impressive. But how do you go from getting 9 Oscar nominations to a movie like this where there's no extra dimension, there's nothing else going on with these grandparents? They're just weird. I'm not going to say again what their weirdness is, but they're just weird. There's nothing else to them except that they're weird. There's no redeeming qualities. There's no attempt to give us any extra layer of anything about these characters. They're just fucking weird. And I hit my keys again. I'm really bad about making excess noise when I'm doing these little videos. But again, it's better than his last couple, so woo! I guess I can't go that high anymore. Woo! There we go. So, if you want to see an M. Night movie that's better than what we've been seeing, by all means go see The Visit. You won't love it, but it's better than Last Airbender. It's better than The Happening. I'm not even gonna do that joke anymore. It's dead. You know what it's about. You know what's happening. I'm done, guys. See you on the interwebs. This movie's bad. I thought that did it. Come on. Why do I always have so much